Hello everyone, Alex here with Howling Hoosier Outdoors. Today I am out and about in my local park just doing a little nature walk, and as spring is moving into summer, I'm noticing a lot of really cool plants popping up. A lot of them are edible, a lot of them have really cool medicinal value behind them, and so while I'm out and about I thought I'd share some of them with you. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright everyone, so the first plant that I wanted to stop and show you guys today is what's known as jewelweed. It is also known as spotted touch-me-not. And the touch-me-nots are really good at treating bug bites and stings. So if you're running around the woods and you get nagged by a mosquito, or if you get stung by a bee, or if you get tagged by some stinging nettle, this guy right here, after you take it, emulsify it in your hand, and then apply it, has a very similar active ingredient to what aloe vera does to burns. It likes to grow in these nice sandy soils and typically along a wetland environment. So right now I'm right along a creek bed, so I'm getting a lot of that nice sandy soil, and I'm getting a lot of that, it's the perfect substrate for this plant to grow in. You can use this guy in a salve. I've made combining it with some plantain and some beeswax, I've made some plantain jewelweed salve, which works really good on my mosquito bites. This is the guy that we're talking about right here. You can see how its leaves are kind of this jade color. It's not really a smooth leaf, but it isn't really a sharp lancelet either. And then by looking down at the stem here, this guy right here, you can see that's a little translucent. Alright everyone, so the next plant that I'm really excited to show you guys is what's known as wood sorrel. And it's these guys, little guys right back here, that look a lot like shamrocks. In fact, I've heard of them referred to as American shamrock. And wood sorrel tastes a lot like lemon heads, and that's because it's really high in vitamin C. I don't think it's citric acid that's in them, but it can provide vitamin C for you. It's really tasty, replenishes some of that energy for you when you're out hiking, and it just really tastes good. So again, looks like a little shamrock, and I'll show you guys. There's a little patch of it right back there, if I can get my camera to focus. Here's a better look at some wood sorrel. One thing that I also wanted to point out about the wood sorrel, though it's not really the season for it, typically once it gets to your mid to late summer, it's going to have these really beautiful yellow flowers with it. Alright all, so I'm apologizing in advance because I am right next to a drainage off or a runoff right now, but this next one is actually called stinging nettle. There's also variants out there called wood nettle. They look really similar. They both grow in very similar climates, and they both suck to run into. They when you run into them, they're gonna have these really nasty fine fibers on them that are going to sting you just like a bee sting. Maybe not as bad as a bee sting, but you get what I'm trying to say. And the cool thing about them is that they're edible. If you were to take this plant with gloves and boil it for an extended period of time, it's going to lose and dissolve those little fibers that are going to sting you. And then it tastes a lot like spinach. Additionally, you could also peel off all the spines on it and then use it as a type of cordage, which I hope to cover in a future video. And this guy here is one of your wood nettles. You can see really down to them. Stop moving. You can see all those little spines. Okay y'all, so this next plant that I have just an entire massive shrub full of behind me is what's known as goldenrod. Goldenrod is really effective in teas. But one thing I want to point out about your goldenrods that there is a look-alike to them, and it's known as horseweed. Now, horseweed has a different leaf structure. It's a lot more dense foliage on it. But goldenrod, the main differentiator between the goldenrod and the horseweed is that goldenrod has these really elegant, beautiful flowers at the end of it once it's fully matured. Unfortunately, the guys behind me aren't all that matured yet. So I'm going to do a quick overview of this plant, and hopefully it's good for you.
Mente, let's go.
Alrighty, y'all, so what we got here in this kind of open-ish area is what's known as broadleaf plantain. And you heard me mention earlier with a plantain salve along with the jewelweed that it is really good for bug bites. And plantain by itself is the exact same way. Plus, it also tastes pretty good. So if you're hungry, it can go into a survival stew or a survival salad, but also if you emulsify it and use it as a poultice on a bug bite, it can be really, really effective at relieving that itchiness. I know this lighting is not the best, but with this nice shadowing, you can see that has really broad leaves. There is also another species here in Indiana that we have called lance leaf or narrow leaf plantain, and it can serve the exact same functions. All right, and the absolute last plant before I got to head back because the sun's starting to set is what's clover. Here in Indiana, we have two main types of clover. We got wild clover and we also have red clover. Red clover typically tastes better and can be used in teas, and I've seen people use it when they mix it with honey and make jams out of it. But your wild clover, also known as your white clover, can do the exact same thing. And I think everyone here knows what clover looks like, but just not. Here's a good overview of it. So it's often used as a ground cover. It's going to have these really cool white puffy flowers on it. And then these little almost shamrock looking leaves. Your red clover isn't going to have as much white. It's going to be a lot more green, but your white clover is going to have these really distinct white marks on them. Alright, y'all, that's all that I got for the rest of this video. I hope you found it somewhat informative, if not a little bit entertaining. I do have an Instagram now, so if you have any questions, comments, concerns, questionable life choices, or epiphanies, please feel free to leave them there or in the comment section. Thank you all for watching, and stay awesome, folks.